So I think I'm going to use this blue for some of the design elements. And I think I'm going to use these for sort of some of the accents. So this will be primary colors, I guess, the lavenders, and this will be sort of a secondary color, and these will be my accents. And I like these. I chose these because they pop. Orange pops against blue, and yellow pops against purple, and so this should stand out pretty well. Now, as far as text goes, we're not going to waste time building text right now. Instead, we're just going to use some lorem ipsum. Like so. I need maybe, how much space do I need? Maybe 3 paragraphs? Probably 3 paragraphs. Generate. Ignore that. And here we go. So I'm going to copy this, Command-C. We'll use the text tool here. I can either click and start typing, although this is huge font. Let's move it down to like 12, I guess. Oh, so this is where the resolution matters. Resolution does matter here because we're talking about points, and when I told it that I wanted it 600 resolution per inch, that means 600 pixels per inch, and points are based on how many go into an inch. There's a certain number of points that go into an inch, and that is why my text is huge. 72 points in an inch. So this text is huge because I wasn't thinking about that. So don't put your resolution at 600. It does matter. So this has to be really small, and that was a bad idea on my part. Yeah, 2 points. Great. Alright. So what I need to do now, because I kind of screwed that up, we're going to go into my image size. Let's do 72, should be normal screen resolution. And this was, let's put this back to 600 so I can see what it is. 1280 by 1024. Right, 1024. So 1024. Boom. And so now this is 100 point font, and now we can actually put it at a decent size, and that's really small, maybe 14. Oh, but I'm viewing this at 66% of its actual size. So there we go. It's really spaced out because this is set for what it was. So we'll go to Auto. And yeah, and now you kind of lost what my original point was. So let's zoom back out. So I can click and I can press paste. But the problem is, even if I left align it, is that it goes on for like ever. And each one of these lines is one of those paragraphs. And that's super annoying to then have to put all the enter buttons in there to get it to go where I need it to. Instead, I can press the text tool, and I can click, and I can drag, and I can tell that I want to fill this space with that text. Much better. And this is actually much smaller than I wanted it to be. Where does the third paragraph start? I don't see the start of the third paragraph. I guess it must be there. Alright, and maybe, let's see, how big is this? Command plus, so this is 100%. That looks pretty good to me. Blue is not the color of good font. We're going to go with a dark color, but not quite black. And really, this should have been probably a little bit lighter. But that's okay, it's pretty decent. So now I need an image, because I want to put an image there. And where can we get an image from? So you can't just grab images from wherever you want off the internet. Sure, you can, but it's not legal. We're going to go to Flickr, and we're going to search through their images, and we're going to make sure that we do Creative Commons. You could also use Wikimedia Commons. There are some free stock photography websites you can use, like SXC, which I use a lot. But I'm going to go to Flickr Creative Commons. So I'm going to search clouds. Yes, go. Now the problem is that it brings up all clouds that are on Flickr, and maybe not the ones that I can use. So I need to actually click Advanced Search We didn't have the option before, which is why I didn't mention it. But now that I've searched something, now I can do advanced search. And I can tell it clouds. And I can scroll down to the bottom and I can tell it to only search within Creative Commons. I can even tell it to let me find content that I can change or modify, and even content that it's okay for me to use even for commercial products, so even if I'm making money. So super efficient. Creative Commons is a part of copyright, but it's a special copyright that allows people to keep their ownership but still let other people use it without giving away their ownership. So look at these clouds. I think that is just about perfect, but I might want to use that for something else. Those clouds are pretty awesome too. You know what? I'm going to use those top clouds because they are pretty sweet. Actually, there's a lot of sweet clouds on here. Fantastic clouds. So we're going to go with this cloud for my first image. So we're going to use this cloud graphic because it's pretty sweet and I'm allowed to use it. So if we look here, we did the search and everything, and so it showed that we could use it. And if we look here, it says some rights reserved, so we can use this as long as we say where it was from or who it was by, give appropriate credit, and we can even copy and redistribute it or change it even commercially. And different ones have different little notes. It's good to make sure that you check. So I can use this photo as long as I say that this person took the picture. I like to actually go in and see if I can find the person's name. So sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But I'll try to go in here and find the person's name to give appropriate credits. So if I right click on this, I can view sizes. I don't need it to be big. I mean, I could view original, but because it's for the web, I don't need it to be big, so I'm going to grab this, and that's plenty big for my needs. If I was doing the top banner, I'd probably grab a bigger one. I'm going to go ahead and drag it in. And that's pretty small, but I can make it bigger than that. So let's say that we want it maybe around there. And kind of like this, maybe. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Can still make it. We'll go with kind of around that size. I think I like that. Now the issue is it's in front of this text. So yeah, so we'll just manually do it real fast just to get the rough idea of what we want this to look like. And I'll just enter some line breaks in here so you can see sort of what it would look like. And so this isn't perfect, this is just a mock-up, but it should look the way I want the website to look, because that's sort of the idea. Alright, so we've got some text and we've got our picture there. I sort of forgot a subheading. So if here is my image, actually that works pretty nicely because I was a little worried about that empty space down there anyways. So I'm going to create sort of a subheading. So I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to zoom out so I can grab my color. I'm going to steal this color from there, and I'm going to create some sort of little like bar graphic. And I'll just drop that in there. So I think that looks pretty decent, and I could do that a couple different ways. I don't actually have to make that into a graphic. That'd be kind of a waste. I could use some other form to create that color very efficiently and that size very efficiently without eating up a lot of space. And now I'm going to make a new layer, a new text layer, and I'm going to grab sort of this orangey color. And this page will be what I want this page to be called. So it's sort of the home page, but so what? So what am I going to call it? What's going to be on it? You often do, well, a lot of websites do like news on the home page, But I don't know if that's what I want to do here. And I could do it like an About Us. But I don't know if you want to start with that. And I had drawn that as a sub-page for my index page. So I don't know what I want to put here. I'm going to put our services, because that would make sense on the home page. I'm going to make this bigger. Maybe even 30. Spelling, 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 or typing rather. We'll make that just a little bit bigger. That looks pretty good. But it's kind of hard to read. I didn't think it was going to be that hard to read on there. That could be the font type. That could just be the color. So I'm already using a serif font down here, and I'm going to switch this to a sans serif font. And the two are pretty simple. We'll talk more about them later. Serif fonts have the little things on the bottom. These little like caps on the top and bottom, and sans serifs do not. And I think that is much easier to read now, but I'm also going to add a bit of a drop shadow. That's pretty far away. Kind of like just one, I think. Decrease the size. Maybe like that. And maybe a slight inner glow. No, I don't like that. Inner shadow. I don't really like the color of the inner shadow, but I like the direction. How I can control the direction and it's not coming from all directions. If I do an inner glow, the problem is it comes from every edge, every side. But if I do inner shadow, it only comes from one direction. And so I can switch it to light, and I can switch it from multiply or darken to lighten. And then I can get just sort of a nice little glow on just the top. Which I could also do with bevel and emboss, but it's a little different. Which I think I'll do that too, and I'll just drop all of the darkness parts. And we'll give this more of a yellowish color. And I think that's starting to look pretty good. Maybe add just a little bit down here, just a little bit of depth to that. And make this more of a deep orange. And I think that looks pretty good. It's still not as legible as I would like, though. We could do an outer glow, and we could switch this to multiply. We could switch the color to a dark color. And we could decrease the opacity by a lot, and we could increase the size by a little bit. So it's subtle, it's not real obvious, but it's there, and it helps make it a little bit more legible. And I think that will work. It's not perfect, but I think it's okay. What if I bold this? We're going to bold this. And we're going to increase the space between the characters, not that much. And I think that helps. I think I'm okay with that now. I'm going to reuse this same kind of style here. So I think I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a new style. Yes. So what that does is I now have what I just created saved here at the bottom of my styles. But what I can also do is I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate it for right now. And zoom out. And I'm going to go ahead and start constructing a banner. I'm going to make this bigger. And we'll call it the Cloud Review. And I know I've already done this. Did I spell that right? That looks funny. I know I've already made a banner, but I'm going to make a new one with sort of my new idea, because the previous one I made wasn't quite what I wanted. Well, I mean it was, but it doesn't really fit with my new style, I don't think. Yeah, I spelled that right. It just looks funny.